Hi friends, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. Today on John's Briefs, you know that we have started having Tim Forshee, my friend, here on the channel to talk about this. Defense attorney, criminal prosecutor, judge, former posse member, well, an Arizona Ranger now, and firearms instructor. And we have had this debate with the other attorneys. So I'm gonna ask Tim today, you get into defensive shooting, talk to the responding cops or no? Firearms Legal Protection is who I trust to help me after a use of force incident. If you're a Firearms Legal Protection member, I will also be on your team as a consulting expert, and you can attend our monthly Active Self-Protection training seminars for free. Check out all they offer to their members at the link below.
Hard to answer that in a short answer. So you and I have taken a lot of the same classes,
Yeah.
a lot of the same awesome instructors.
Well, and okay, so if you've watched them, right, Masada Ayub has his 5-point checklist.
And I agree with, I've taken every class Mass offers,
Yeah.
and I think that is the gospel. I really do. I think it's awesome. Here's the problem. Okay. Mass
Criminal defense attorney coming up again.
is an amazingly well-spoken guy.
Yeah.
Mass is a police officer with over 30 years, I believe, experience on the job. He is an expert witness times hundreds of cases. I mean, he's an amazing guy, and he's very eloquent. Anybody who's ever taken his class realizes this guy's no dope. This guy's a smart guy, right?
Right.
My problem is, as anybody who's watched a few of these interviews with me just now on your show realizes that once I start talking, I can't shut up. And so there's this term that I always use that a lot of you have heard called verbal diarrhea.
It's an actual term for it called logorrhea.
There you go.
It's an actual term.
If I start talking, I'm afraid I'm going to admit that I cheated on that test, that algebra test in 7th grade, and I have inside information on the Kennedy assassination. I'm going to start yapping.
You know where Jimmy Hoffa is buried.
I haven't thought. So, but the point is, you're going to start talking, and once you start talking, it's something that's very, very hard to take those words back. So people say, well, I've got to give some kind of a statement, or else the cops will think I'm guilty. My response to that is, I could care less if the cops think you're guilty. Okay, I only care if a jury or a judge decides you're guilty. And if you give your statement now, you can never take it back.
Right.
And I always tell people you have the rest of your life to give that statement. Are you going to give that statement now? Or are you going to wait 7 or 8 hours in a holding cell to talk to your attorney and then give the statement tomorrow morning after we've had the chance to calm down and get you a cup of coffee and actually discuss what's going on here?
Yeah.
So when you just start blurting things out at the scene, and you follow Mass's 5 points and you say, there's evidence there, there's witnesses there, I will prosecute, I'm the good guy, that's the bad guy. That's great if you can shut up right then, but I know a lot of people who simply can't, and I'm afraid I might be one.
They say that adage that nobody has ever talked their way out of handcuffs.
Exactly.
But plenty of people have talked their way into them.
Amen. And the thing is that watch how police officers deal with it.
Yeah.
Ask any friend you have who's a cop, what is their absolute, dicta with regard to dealing with an officer-involved shooting? And the answer is they shut up. They don't give any statement whatsoever.
In fact, when the supervisor shows up, you'll see this on badge cams all the time on the channel. The supervisor will show up and say, you shot? Yep, you. Okay, I want you to turn your camera off. I want you to go sit in your car, turn the camera off in the car, and shut up until your rep gets here.
Your union rep will be here in half an hour. Your lawyer will be here in 4 hours, and we'll take your statement tomorrow at Denny's.
Right.
Over Waffle.
And no, listen, turn your cell phone off. Don't call your wife. Just
and that even
go
extends
sit.
to a lot of people don't realize about the 911 call. And this is something that's sort of like one of my calls celebrated that people don't seem to get, because I've had so many clients that call 911 after they've been involved in an incident like this, and the things that they say will curl your hair. They will say horrifically offensive racial things, or unbelievable curse words. Or I had a guy one time that said, damn right I shot the MFer, dig him up and I'll shoot him again. And when I met with he and his wife weeks later,
That's what we call mens rea.
There you go. When I met with he and his wife weeks later and we got the 911 tape and we listened to it in my conference room, he adamantly said, that's not me. That's not my voice. And I've never ever once said that word in my life. He was actually an elder in the Mormon church.
Wow.
And he said, I've never said it. And his wife is silently sobbing next to me saying, honey, that was you. I remember you saying that.
Wow.
And that's a case where you take a worse plea than you'd normally get because of that, as you said, mens rea. It shows a guilty mind.
Guilty mind.
And you blurt things out. So I'm a big advocate of, don't you call 911.
Have a loved one or someone else.
Your spouse, your eldest child, the next door neighbor. If you're a member of an organization like FLP, make your first call to FLP. They'll call 911 for you. I don't want your voice on that tape that I have to explain to a jury. And people say, well, the jury will never hear that because of the Fifth Amendment.
No,
yes, they will.
They absolutely will hear that.
An exception for that 911 tape.
That's right.
Arizona and in most other states. So shut up. Yeah.
So there's an interesting bit. I think there's something that we want to get on the phone with 911 quickly because we want help to get there as fast as we can.
Right, we want the cavalry.
But at the end of a defensive gunfight for a private citizen, they're either gone, they've either fled, or they're dead. Is
Right.
really
Most
what it
likely,
is.
yeah.
You know, is the two most likely outcomes. I mean, if you're having a gunfight with the guy right now, you ain't got no time to be on the phone with 911 anyways.
Right.
So finish the fight. If the fight is over,
And make sure the fight's over.
yes.
A lot of people fail to remember that 80% of all home invasion burglaries involve at least two bad guys.
Right. So we follow the TAP-IFs,
Yeah.
right? You know,
Correct.
threat down, accomplices, partner,
Yep.
injuries, firearm, follow-up, seek help. I said the last one is seek
Yep,
help.
That's right.
Now that if it takes those cops 3 more minutes to get there because you called firearms legal protection first and you
Right.
said, hey, this is what happened, and they go, okay, have your wife call 911. You stay
Right.
on the phone with me.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Hey, call 911.
Yep.
Then again, anything your spouse says to 911
It's impeachable.
is impeachable testimony,
My
right?
wife said, they asked her how many shots were fired. My wife says 12. I don't know why she'd say that, but let's say she said 12. And let's say the evidence later shows I fired 6. If I say I fired 12 and the evidence shows I fired 6,
Right.
now I'm clearly a liar who can't be trusted and doesn't know the information. My lawyer can, hopefully with my wife, very politely explain to the jury that my wife wasn't even in the same room when the shots were fired. Perhaps she heard echoes. And you can politely impeach somebody else, but if your credibility is impeached, you're hosed. You're hung.
So you just got some good advice there about, if you can possibly help it, having somebody else call 911 for you, having them, and when they show up, let them do their job.
Yeah.
Let them do their job. Your officer, I'm on the phone with my attorney. I decline to make any statement at this time.
And that's fine. And you know what? Even that's great. But even that means you're talking to the cops. If you need to, just don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. We'll get to you. Okay,
Right.
Your wife's on the phone with your attorney, whatever.
Anything you don't say
can't put you in jail.
cannot be used against you in a court of law.
Exactly.
And in fact, if we go back, even we talked about the Rittenhouse case just a little bit, that one of the biggest problems that Thomas Binger did is that he brought that up in court.
Amen.
And Judge Schrader, I almost declared a mistrial
Yeah.
on the spot.
Right.
He dismissed the jury and read him the riot act.
I've never seen a prosecutor do as bad of a job.
Oh, he was terrible.
And when he pointed the gun at the jury, if I was the judge presiding over that trial, I would have had him taken into custody.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I got to be honest with you. So I've never said this on camera. I don't know, because I've never met Thomas Binger. I don't know anything about him, but it was so bad. I felt like it was intentional, that he's like, I'm just going to do the worst possible job I could, that I could say I did my job.
Maybe.
And instead, you know, I'm basically going to throw the game.
Stranger things have happened.
And I have no proof for that, but I just watched the whole trial and I was like, I can't believe he's that
It's almost the
incompetent.
only explanation for how incompetent he was.
He's either radically grossly incompetent
Yeah.
or purposefully
The only
negligent.
good thing that came of that is I think it clearly demonstrated that people who have an anti-gun agenda don't have the logic or the facts to support it.
I agree there.
And that
So
was the one good thing that came from that.
So remember, the attorneys, every single one of them say, shut up, shut up, and shut up. And
And let's not even forget, John, to throw in adrenaline into the mix.
yeah,
What's adrenaline do to your perceptive skills? What's it do to your brain? It slows time down. It shortens distances.
Mm-hmm.
You get auditory exclusion. A lot of the information that you give that you pass a polygraph with
right.
is wrong.
And
you're
your
gonna say
brain
things that you know is right that's wrong.
takes a
You're
couple of
yourself
sleep
into.
cycles for
That's
your
right.
brain to start processing that stuff. So you hear it again from the attorneys, guys, and every attorney I ask, it's not like there's a secret cabal of attorneys who are trying to give bad advice. They just see enough defendants that they say, shut up.